The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA's heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
Finding a hoodie that lasts through the season can be tough. The American Giant Classic Full Zip hoodie is made to last a lifetime, so you can count on it year after year. Every American Giant piece is made in America and designed to last. No exceptions. The result is durable clothing that become part of your life. Snag the hoodie that will bring you comfort for life. The American Giant Classic Full Zip. Save 20% off your first order at american-giant.com when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout.
Welcome to the Backpacking Blisters podcast, Throwback Thursday edition. This episode features an interview with Jeff Pelletier, one of the premier mile crushers of the 21st century. Before heading off on my own risky adventure, I ran some controversial weight-saving ideas by him. Here's how it went. He has thru-hiked epic trails, fast-packed epic trails, run 100 miles, and he strikes up random conversations with people along the way. Welcome, Jeff Pelletier. How's it going, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Oh, yeah, man, for sure. I'm looking forward to it, too. You're one of my favorites on YouTube. I watch your videos and get a lot of inspiration from all the adventures you have out there. So, yeah, just thanks for putting out good content.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so for people that are maybe you're not familiar with your YouTube channel, like how would you describe what's the content that you put out typically?
Well, I'm a trail runner first and foremost, but I like to think of my channel as kind of more just outdoor adventure. So that's sort of, it bleeds into what I call fast packing, which is really just kind of, a blend of hiking and camping and running. Right. And a lot of hiking and just kind of adventures in the mountains and increasingly in the desert as well.
Increasingly in the desert, okay.
Increasingly in the desert. Done a couple desert
you're
adventures.
Canadian, so you're are you the Canadian desert, or where are you going?
No, so that's the other thing as well. So I am Canadian based, and I do have some videos from our backyard here in beautiful British Columbia. But I've been traveling a lot, especially since the pandemic. I've been, I realized that was something that was missing from my life, and so I kind of the last couple of years I've been traveling around the world. And this season coming up, we can probably talk more about that. I've got some big adventures, so. I've done a big stage race in the Namib Desert in Namibia.
Oh my God. Okay. I was thinking you're just going to go down to Utah.
No, well, and also places like Moab and things like that as well. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Namibia. All right. I wonder how many people out there know where Namibia is. Can they name the continent? And then if they can't name the continent, can they name the part of the continent that Namibia is on?
Well, I'll give them a hint. It's really close to South Africa. It's a beautiful country. The Namib Desert's incredible. And I did it was a 7-day stage race through the Namib Desert. And I've got a series of videos from that on my channel. And I think that's kind of, my channel's a little bit different in that way that I'm doing a lot of these adventures and filming it as I do it. So I'm not being filmed. It's almost entirely, POV, but I blend that with drone shots and a bit of stock footage and things as well. And kind of my own sort of style of storytelling.
Good stuff. I enjoy your style of storytelling for sure.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
And so I'm just thinking the Namib Desert, anytime if you type in Namibia and then click on Google Images, it just looks like there's nothing but desert there.
Oh yeah, so, no, it's the least populated country in the world, I believe, and it's the driest desert and the driest country in sub-Saharan Africa, and it's the iconic image is these dried out trees, these fossilized trees in the desert, and it's largely nature reserves and parks. It's an incredible country. It's also, they call it Africa for beginners. So if you are looking to dip your toes into traveling on the African continent, it's a good place to start. It's pretty accessible, it's pretty safe, and it's affordable. So yeah, so definitely a place to add on your list. Another one, I went to the country of Georgia last year and did a similar race there. And that was another country that I don't think is on a lot of people's radar, and just an incredible place. Yeah.
It's funny because my mental stereotype of Eastern Europe is that this is, I think, just from movies, just watching, anytime somebody goes shoot that area in a movie, it's always like gray and just heavily overcast. And the first few videos of that series, I think there's like no sun for like 3 days or something like that, or at least that's what I saw.
Yeah.
So it kind of hit the stereotype.
Yeah, Georgia, where we were during the race, it was definitely. But you know, there's mountains there that are over 5,000 meters high. You know, right along the Russian border. It's an incredibly diverse country, and there's some seriously good hiking and backcountry skiing as well.
One of the things that I really appreciate about, you know, what you put out there in terms of like your documentaries is that you'll like be in the middle of a race, or be in the middle of a run, whatever, and you're like, hey, how's it going? And then you just like kind of roll up next to somebody and just have a conversation.
Yeah.
And sometimes the person's like, let me tell you about my life.
Sure.
And other times they're just like being polite, but you're not shy. So I want to know how this starts, like how this happens. So like, let's pretend that we're, you know, in the middle of a long race and like you're coming up behind me and probably you're thinking to yourself like, man, that guy's going like really slow. How's that guy ahead of me? That's weird.
Yeah, I better slow him down with the conversation. That's right.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Okay, so you roll up next to me, and then you're like, the camera's on. I'm going to have a conversation with this guy. First of all, like, what are you looking for? Why do you know, how do you determine who it is you know, you're going to actually like film a conversation with? And then like, how do you start this conversation?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's mainly just the difference between trail running and a lot of other competitive sports. If you compare it to, say, marathon, like road running or triathlon even, those are very competitive to the point where people are like head down, focused, headphones on usually. Trail running is different. Trail running is, as I'm sure you know, it's people are out there to support each other and be social and to meet people from around the world. Typically for trail running, we're traveling as well to different mountain ranges. And it just tends to attract a different breed of people who I think, again, are there for the love of the mountains first and foremost, or the deserts, whatever it might be, and, you know, adventure. And then the second piece of that is competition. But there's also an element, I think, of, you know, we're looking after each other out there, especially in the mountains. There's this, you know, everybody has to have each other's back when it comes to safety. So again, it's less competitive for that reason. And that leads to it being more social, I think. Some of the events I do, like UTMB, I just did last year, which is basically the Super Bowl of mountain trail running, and that attracts runners.
It's like through 4 countries in Europe.
3 countries. It starts in France, goes through Italy and Switzerland, 106 miles around the Mont Blanc Massif. It's incredible. It's incredible on the Tour de Mont Blanc route, basically. That's something that attracts people from all over the world, and everybody has their name and the flag from their country on their bib. So, I mean, I speak French, of course, English, a little bit of Spanish, enough that I can sort of say hello. But I have an interest in different cultures and countries. So I will strike up a conversation with anybody. And a good place to start is just asking them about where they're from and what city they're from. And so that's, again, something I think that lends itself to conversation. And when you're out there doing these long races, like 24 hours or multi-day, I mean, it helps to pass the time. So people aren't, you know, it's one thing if you're doing a 3 or 4 hour race, but if you're out there for 24 hours, you're looking for excuses to pass the time and strike up a conversation. So people are very receptive to that. So, I mean, I would never just walk up to somebody with a camera or run up behind somebody with a camera. I always talk to them first, and then I go, hey, do you mind if I film a bit? And usually they're fine with that. And
you warm them up.
I warm them up a bit. I'll learn a bit about them. Not everybody's receptive. Some people you say hi to, they barely respond, and you know, okay, they might just be in a bad place. They might be low on energy. They might be suffering. They're not in the mood to talk. Other people, they're right into it and they want to have a conversation. So those are the people I look for, the people who sort of, you know, can match that energy that I have at that moment.
Like, you've already name dropped a few of the trails you've done, and there's some that, like, I've watched one. You did the what was the Tahoe Rim Trail? You did like a fast packing journey on that one. So if you had to, or like wanted to redo one of the many trails you've done, which of them would you choose? Like, which stands out as like, this is one worth revisiting?
Years ago, my first fast pack was the Wonderland Trail around Mount Rainier. And I've been wanting to go back and do that again ever since. It's incredible. It's 95 miles, I believe. Right. We did it over 2 days, 2 big days. We slept about 3 hours. And it was mostly to test out the camping gear. Honestly, we should have just run through the night. We would have had less kit with us, but we wanted to sort of test out, you know, our fast packing setup. 2 huge days though. Yeah.
Okay.
And, but that trail is beautiful. And I think the way to do that trail is 3 days. about 50 kilometers per day, 30 miles or so. And
if you're fast packing, not for everybody.
Sorry, if you're fast packing, to clarify, that's the way I would go back and do it. The problem with doing it over 2 days like we did is we ran a lot at night and we missed some really beautiful stuff.
Right.
So I think the key to this is jumping ahead a little bit here, but I think when you're fast packing or doing anything, I think you want to find a balance between, pace. Like you want to get these things done, especially if you're there for a physical pursuit. Sometimes you want to have big days, push the miles, but you want to enjoy it and you don't want to miss things, which means you don't move during the night. Don't get up too early. Because you miss stuff. You miss glaciers. You miss incredible things. Right. So that's one I need to redo. And again, I would do it over 3 days. It's a great 10-day backpack as well. Okay. But if you want to do it as a fast pack, 3 days with support is a beautiful way to do it.
Hard to get that permit, but yeah, that's on my list is that one.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. 2 days, man. That's crazy. I don't know if you know this, but if I go to YouTube and I type in the phrase fast packing and then I scroll down and look at various videos, there's like a couple guys on there. But if let's say that I'm scrolling through the first 10 videos, 8 of them are yours. Like you're dominating the fast packing on YouTube. Like not just, I don't know if it's the algorithm or I think you're just dominating the whole thing. So I realize that like fast packing's not for everybody, and really for backpacking's not for most people, but I think there's a lot that we can learn from you in regards to this. So if we're looking to just like really go ultralight, lighten our load, go a little bit faster, a little bit farther, go a little bit harder on a trip, can you give us like 3 of your best tips for basically going light and fast?
Sure. Well, the first thing is everything needs to serve a dual purpose. Okay. That's something that's sort of a principle that has served me well. So an example is I don't wear long sleeve t-shirts or long sleeve shirts. Okay. I wear t-shirts with arm sleeves.
Arm sleeves. I'm a fan.
Yeah. Arm sleeves are awesome. They can serve as arm coolers and sun protection in the summer and arm warmers in the winter. That way you can roll them down when you get too warm. You can put them on for warmth. So you're getting 2 shirts in one, basically, as opposed to carrying a long sleeve and a t-shirt. So that's just a simple example. You shouldn't carry anything you couldn't run or hike in. So, I might carry tights and a puffy jacket, like a really compressible puffy for it when I get to camp. But they need to be something that I can also use while I'm moving. So in the morning, if I want to get up and get some miles before having breakfast and it's really cold, I can keep my puffy and everything on. I can get some miles under my belt. So I'm not carrying anything that can't be used both to sleep in and to hike in. Okay. Everything is serving dual purpose. I might bring a change of clothes. So I have my kit for during the day, my kit for at night, but that kit for at night is my backup running kit. So maybe on the last day, I treat myself to some clean clothes. My night kit is now my running kit. So again, everything double purpose.
Okay, so I want to challenge you a little bit on this then. So,
sure,
because we've talked about this on the podcast in the past about like that is kind of the gold standard for your gears. Like, does it serve at least 2 different purposes?
Yeah.
But there's things where I'm like, I don't know, like what else can you do with that? So like a toothbrush.
Well, this is mostly when it comes to clothing. Okay. That's because clothing can add up very quickly. Right. Especially when you're new at this, we tend to pack our fears, as they say, right? And one of those is the fear of being cold and the fear of being, I guess, smelly.
So. Wait a second. Who has the fear of being smelly?
Some people do. Okay. Some people do. Now, for women, it's a little different. But for guys, it's like, I put on a clean pair of underwear at night and I have 1 pair I'm running in during the day, but that's it. Like I'm alternating between these 2 pairs of underwear for 5 days. That's, okay. You know what I mean? And if I'm racing, I don't even do that. When I'm racing, it's like 1 pair of boxers for the whole week.
Hack your fears. Fear. Yeah. Definitely fear of being cold is one. I have not heard of the fear of being smelly. So I think that needs to be a bigger fear, to be honest, especially with the guys I go with. So you're not, okay. So if I'm breaking down some of like the small items in your pack, like the toothbrush, like you don't have a dual purpose for the toothbrush.
No, of course not. I should say where possible. Gotcha. Where possible, everything has dual purpose. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And then, so like my co-host Derek, like he's notorious for bringing pajama pants. That's not going to work.
So you can't run in that, or you can't hike in that. So to me, that seems ridiculous. Wear your waterproof pants as an insulating layer at night to sleep in. That way you have them for on the trail. That's a great example of a place you can save on weight.
Okay. Gotcha. Or try to come up with like waterproof pajama pants so that way it can serve a dual purpose. All right. Exactly. So first one is dual purpose. I like it. All right. What's number 2?
Well, the second thing is, having said all that, light, but never stupid light, right? So there are some exceptions. I don't mess around when it comes to headlamps.
Oh, okay.
You know, I as a trail runner, I always advocate. I've done some, safety workshops, and I've worked with search and rescue crews, and done a lot of education around this. And one of the here in BC, we have a lot of call outs in the mountains. We have a lot of tourists come, and the mountains are serious here. And
Right.
one of the main reasons is lack of light. So people go out, their 2-hour hike ends up taking 4 hours, and the sun goes down, or maybe they go off trail, or whatever happens, they roll an ankle, and now they're trying to use their phone to find their way down the trail. Now their phone dies. They have no way to call for help. And if you only carried a little 80 lumen headlamp, you wouldn't be in that situation. And something like half of those call outs are because of lack of light.
Really?
So to me, it just seems like if you're going to go on the trail, bring a headlamp.
Okay.
It could be the smallest little headlamp, and your phone doesn't count as a light. And now if you're running at night or hiking at night, bring a headlamp plus a spare. So we always have, it's always, N+1. It's always, you're bringing a spare headlamp.
Really?
I just don't mess around with headlamps.
Okay.
I will sometimes bring a headlamp and a spare battery instead of a whole separate headlamp. But yeah, headlamps are the one thing, because if you don't have light, you can't move. If I have light, I can move all day and all night. I can keep moving. I don't even have to camp. But without that headlamp, you're screwed.
Okay.
So light, but never stupid light. And that is especially true with headlamps.
Well, stupid light might be a theme for one of my questions. But I'm gonna ask you for some advice here on some ideas I have to light my pack load here in a couple minutes, and it might be stupid light. Just like a warning. Just you might have to deal with that issue. But okay, so if the headlamp is so important to you to the point where you actually bring two, do you mind sharing what headlamp you what's your go-to?
I've got a few different ones. I've been really enjoying headlamps by Phoenix lately. Phoenix is a great brand. They used to make tactical headlamps, and they've been moving into the trail running and lightweight hiking market. For racing, for like 100-mile races, I use one called the Phoenix HM65RT. It's designed for trail running. It's super high powered. Up to 1,500 lumens, but you can sustain 400 lumens for up to 12 hours, which is perfect for trail running on technical terrain. And it's just bomb proof, this thing. Not the lightest weight, but it's bomber. So if you're in the middle of nowhere in the backcountry and you need a dependable light source, I'll go for a heavy, durable headlamp over a lightweight one any day when it really has to count. And then I'll usually carry a lighter weight, like one of the ultralight headlamps.
The night core?
Yeah, like a night core. Exactly. What's the one? The NCL something.
Yeah, the new one. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's a couple good Petzl lightweight ones. So that's usually as a backup.
All right. So that's two. That's a good one as well. Number three, best lightweight tip.
Well, this isn't really a lightweight tip. It's just kind of a tip, which is test everything before you go. Never go out, especially if you're going to go out on like you're doing the PCT for 3 months. I mean, go do a 3-day or a 1 night, and if you're doing a 3-day, I mean, go do a 1 night first. Like just try to test everything before you go out in the trails. And I see this a lot with people. There's a saying with trail running, which is nothing new on race day. And everything's going to be tried and tested, especially when it comes to your feet or your stomach. Those are two areas that can really, really go wrong. And it's the same thing when you're doing anything in the backcountry, or if you're doing anything just really committing, like a big through hike, a week, even if it's just 2 or 3 days, test everything. Whether it's like how you're going to pack your kit, where you're going to stash your poles. I mean, just get all that stuff out of the way. There's nothing worse than hitting the trails with a buddy. And for those first 2 or 3 hours, they're just faffing around, trying to figure out get their straps adjusted. And it's like, come on, man, like you got to show up ready to go here. Like, so yeah, test everything, make sure it fits, make sure it works. That's just that's an easy thing. You have to do training anyway. So during your training, you should be testing all your stuff for that big adventure, that big race, whatever it might be.
Coincidentally, today I was out on a training run and putting in some miles and some elevation, and I have a new pack. I've got like a new Ultimate Directions, like the mountain, I don't know, vest or whatever like that. And so it's new, and I'm testing it out. Obviously, I'm training with it, but I'm not like so meticulous. I'm not like examining all the different doodads and straps and pockets. And so it has this little pocket in the bottom that's like great for my key. So I throw my key in there. And I got back to the car today, and apparently that pocket goes all the way through the pack, and there's another opening with a zipper that was open. And so upon first inspection, I was like, my key is gone. Like, I put a key in a pocket and it just like flew out the other side. It like ended up getting stuck in the nylon or whatever. And so I like,
oh, good.
Yeah, but I'd
good.
already made my phone call to like my wife, and like some other runner was like
Yeah.
listening in the conversation, like ready to go searching for my key on the trail, which is super nice of him. But yeah, so as you're speaking, I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably like do a little bit better job, even like inspecting the gear ahead of time as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've got a list of some, I call it controversial gear decisions that I want to run by you. And I want you to not be shy. So if something is like straight up dumb, like you can just tell me like you're a fool and don't do that. But I have ideas because I'm looking, because my body's been like, broken basically for 3 years. I'm looking to shave weight wherever possible so that I have the highest chance of success. All right. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
All right. First one is, so we're going to Yosemite, and I don't know how experienced you are in the Sierras, but like I find the weather there to be relatively reliable. Like the forecast is generally pretty accurate, and I'm pretty good at reading the clouds and stuff. So if the forecast looks good for the day that we're going to go, I plan to forego the rain jacket and bring some sort of cheapo clear poncho instead. So I still have like a backup, but I figure this will save me about 6 ounces and a whole lot of like space and bulk. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, that's not a bad strategy. I mean, at a poncho, the problem with the poncho is it's hard to move with the poncho on. So it's okay if you're in a emergency situation, but if you're moving, you're going to overheat in a poncho. I personally like a hard shell, and I tend to almost always bring a hard shell. There are some exceptions where, like you say, the weather's dependable. Maybe you're in a region where it doesn't rain, at all, maybe, or very rarely. Right. I like a hard shell because it's an insulating layer as well. And so this is the thing, is that you might be able to, instead of bringing the poncho and a light jacket, bring the hard shell and not something else that was going to be like a mid layer. Because the hard shell, even when it's not raining, when it gets cold, can be your insulating layer. So I tend to do the opposite of what you're doing, which is always bring a hard shell, but then bring less clothing because I have the hard shell.
And I was bringing like no extra clothing. Like we're going to bring like an extra pair of socks. I was going to have the arm sleeves, I guess.
Sure.
But beyond that, the thought is like, actually the run that I went on today, like I just got rained on like crazy and I didn't have anything. I just had my, I was like wearing a cotton shirt. And so I figure as long as I'm moving and it's summertime, and if it's one of those afternoon showers, like I could probably just take it from the rain and then I'll likely dry out. And so poncho is really just like, it's an emergency.
I could go either way, but I would generally lean towards hard shells shouldn't be thought of as just rain jackets. They're also good insulating layers. And now you have the peace of mind that if a freak storm does roll in, you have a hard shell and you can keep moving.
And I do view it that way for backpacking. So I guess I'm thinking differently for this trip, but you're right.
Totally. And just for context, what's the length that you're going for again in terms of time on fleet?
So I think it's like 48 to 50 miles is total length for the day, and it's unsupported. We are going to have like a safety crew out there, but it's like we're carrying all of our own stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
Next one. So the Sierras just got pummeled this year. Did you guys get pummeled as well with like the rain, like the Sierras did?
No, not as much. We have a high snowpack this year as well, but it's not like in California.
Okay. Yeah. So it's crazy. And so we're trying to go as late as possible so that most of it, if not all of it's melted at that point, especially in the higher elevations. I figured like there's going to be so much water on the trail that I am, just for this trip, I don't normally do this, but I'm considering just dipping in to fast moving streams rather than bring a filter. It's going to save me 3 to 4 ounces and a ton of time.
Okay, that one's easy. That's stupid light. That is just stupid light. A filter is so lightweight. I use the Solomon XA filter cap, which I run with Solomon flasks anyway. And this is very similar to the Cataden B Free. It's not going to filter out viruses, but it does work for protozoa and bacteria. There's simply no reason not to use a filter, a flask or a bottle with the built-in filter. They're so lightweight, and I mean, it's a numbers game. A lot of people say, "Oh, I've been hiking for years. I've never gotten sick." Well, yeah, I know a lot. I know a lot of people who have too, who have gotten sick, and once you do, it's. So it's a numbers game. The more chances you take, and there's so many places. We were just down in Patagonia recently. We were doing the fast pack on the O circuit on Torres del Paine, and I read everywhere people are saying, "Oh, you don't have to filter the water there. It's all coming straight off the glacier." I can tell you, it's not all coming straight off the glacier. There are plenty of streams that you cross where there's horses and there's people, and Yes, some of the streams come off the glacier, but a lot of them run a long way. There's one entire day you spend going through a valley where you're far from glaciers. And so if you had read that and didn't bring a filter, you're literally that entire day you can't drink the water because there's horses everywhere. I just don't see a reason not to always use a built-in filter like the XA filter cap. The water flow is like maybe 75% as good as without it, 75% as good as without it, which is pretty good. And it's just peace of mind. It's just, again, avoid that numbers game. Why play roulette? Just I filter everything and I've never been sick and I probably never will be.
The scenario you're describing is like, okay, why would you not have a filter? It doesn't weigh that much. And you're just literally drinking through the filter.
Exactly. It doesn't take any time. It doesn't slow you down.
It doesn't take any time. Yeah. So for me, and you might process things differently, but for me, like I have a hard time like keeping hydrated and I have issues with cramps. And so for me, the most efficient way to do it is to have electrolyte powder.
Sure.
So what I have to do is I've got a filter, squeeze into something else, mix it up.
Yep. So that is an extra step. You can use something like the XA filter cap. You pull off the top and you can use it as a squeeze filter to squeeze into the other bottle.
Right.
So that definitely is a consideration. You can put electrolytes in those filters. It will degrade them quicker. Bacteria is likely to.
Oh yeah, I would do that.
So that you won't get as much life out of them that way. But you can put electrolytes in them, and it'll pass through. So that's definitely one issue. But the other thing too is, again, I mean, we picture these beautiful streams coming off glaciers, but a lot of water is silty, and even glacier water is quite salty. Even if you're not trying to filter out bacteria, sometimes you just want to filter the silt. And that's where a glacier will do that for you, or rather a filter will do that for you. Why drink all that like sand and stuff that can be in water? And then sometimes you're like searching out the clear water when if you had a filter, you could just dip it anywhere. So I just don't see why you wouldn't bring one. So a good strategy for you might be to have 2 flasks, one of them with a filter and one without. And that way you can squeeze one into the other. And if you see some water where you really trust it, then sure, you can dip that bottle and just drink it unfiltered.
You heard it from him. All right. I already have one stupid light idea. Okay. Next one is, so we did do an FKT like back in 2019 here in Colorado. And we had a fair bit of stuff. And then the one that went wrong in 2020, the guys that went did end up using emergency blankets and crashing out for the night. So emergency blankets, like we're talking like 1 to 2 ounces, not a big deal. I don't want to bring them because we're going to have an emergency crew at probably around mile like 40, 41. So pretty late in the game, but I feel like we will likely get there either in good shape or, before nighttime. So we wouldn't need the emergency blankets necessarily before then. And then we're also passing a high Sierra camp where like in a pinch, probably around mile, 30, like we could grab something there if we needed to. So I'm going to say skip the emergency blankets. What do you say to that one?
Yes. Again, stupid light. And in fact,
stupid light again.
I'll see your emergency blanket and up you one. I think everybody should carry an emergency bivvy. And what I'm saying is it's a small bivvy. It's only about double the size and weight of an emergency blanket. There's a brand called Sol, SOL, that you hear, at least here in Canada, that sells them. And it's basically an emergency blanket you can get inside like a burrito. And I mean, it would be the least comfortable sleep you'd ever have, but it would keep you alive. I take mine, it comes as like a roll. I fold it. So it's almost the same size as my blanket, and I keep it in my first aid kit. Again, headlamp and a blanket. I never go on the trails without one. It's so light. Every Solomon running pack comes with one. I mean, your little whistle.
Wait, are you sponsored by Solomon?
I am sponsored by Solomon. I should probably disclose that. Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, they're so light. They can be used as a skirt, as a cape, if you're cold while on the trail. And again, if you get the bivvy version, you can put somebody inside. It's not about your crew. This isn't about sleeping. This is about somebody falls and breaks their leg and goes into shock. You got to get that blanket on them right away. There's no, our emergency team is only 2 hours away. They'll get here eventually. I mean, that's not going to help you at all. You might come across a hiker on the trail, and this is part of just being a good trail user. Is I like to carry a little bit of extra food when I'm out in the trails, and often it's to give other people, to give to people, whether it's electrolytes or I've given people water. I mean, especially on popular trails where you're likely to see people. And run into people in trouble. So that blanket could save a life. I think that's stupid light. for sure. Like that one, 100%. That one, I would say never don't have a blanket with you, especially as a runner, because you don't have the extra layers that a lot of hikers have.
So is there a compromise there with if two guys are going, having one between the two of us? Is that possible?
I mean, sure. Okay. Yeah, that would actually be something to think about. The only thing with that is, are you sure you're not going to end up splitting up for any reason? Because it happens. Like where one guy says, I'm going to take a leak, I'll catch up. And then there's a little split in the trail, and before you know it, you're on separate paths.
Yeah, there's always that chance for sure. You're right about that.
There's always that chance. So I mean, I think again, what are you really trying to save here in terms of weight? Having said that, we'll often bring one first aid kit between two people, because that does sometimes start to feel a little bit like overkill if you have full, first aid for two. But there's certain things I never skimp on, and something like a blanket is so light. I mean, throw it in there. Having two between two people is good anyway, because you might need both. Okay. If somebody is really, really in a pinch, you might need both. And if both of you end up going off trail and being out there for the night, you're each going to need your own blanket. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you referenced the first aid kit. So let's talk about that. I don't really have like a stupid light idea in this. I plan to bring a first aid kit, probably pretty minimal. So beyond the Band-Aids and the ibuprofen, and you mentioned the emergency bivy, let me just ask, like, generally how heavy is your first aid kit?
Yeah. And my feeling on first aid has evolved a little bit over the years. Years ago, I used to carry a larger one. And now, I mean, I sort of tell people, if you don't know backcountry first aid, don't bother carrying a first aid kit, because a lot of that stuff, like, you need to know how to use it. Having said that, best case is you take some backcountry first aid. Somebody in a group ideally always does have some knowledge and have a kit with them. But usually, I mean, first of all, a good place to start is to buy one of those little $20 first aid kits from REI or MEC here in Canada, and then basically customize it. But the bag itself is useful. It comes with some Band-Aids, some blister kit stuff. Take out the stuff you don't know how to use and put in stuff you think you might need more of. As a runner, I like to focus on things like blister care. So Band-Aids and basically just a blister kit. And because that's the kind of thing that can really mess up your day if you get a blister. So basic blister kit stuff. I'll throw some, I like to carry some fire starter, some lint. I put in a little waterproof match case along with a lighter. I like to be able to start a fire at any point. And that's also where I'll carry often a little knife, and I'll put my blanket or my bivy in there as well. So pretty minimal stuff. Again, mostly focused on blister care for me.
All right, last one I got for you has to do with shoes. So I've got like my trail running shoes, but I typically am using those for backpacking. Mm-hmm. I've got the Speed Goats, the Hoka Speed Goats. Mm-hmm. And then I've got road running shoes, which I've been using for trail running. Mm-hmm. I figured, okay, my trail runs at this point, are maxing out at 10 miles. But for the actual event, doing the math, there's like a 7-ounce difference between the pairs of shoes, like 7 ounce total. Going road shoes versus trail shoes. And I'm doing a lot on the trail with the road shoes. So I was thinking about just saving that 7 ounces, saving the extra weight of every time you pick up your feet, it adds up over time. So road shoes versus trail shoes to shave some foot weight. What do you think about that? Are you tired of supporting outdoor brands that scour the globe, exploiting the most destitute people and laxist environmental laws, putting profit above absolutely everything? No longer do you have to add fuel to the environmental and social dumpster fire to get the best quality gear for your next hike. Introducing Magnet Designs. Through hiker design, tested, built, and owned. Everything they sell has been tested, tweaked, and punished on long trails all over the world. Check out their best-selling product, the Bend Alpha 90 hoodie. Made in Bend, Oregon, using USA made from recycled materials, Polar Tech Alpha Direct fabric. Ultralight, compressible, hydrophobic, breathable, quick drying, and stylish. Weighing in at just 4.5 ounces in a men's medium. Put your ethical quagmire to bed when you support Magnet Designs. Be confident you're getting the most vetted products for what we do with the smallest possible environmental footprint. Designed on trail, built for trail life, handmade to order in Bend, Oregon. Visit magnetdesigns.com with no E in designs.
The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA's heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
Every Lenovo is built to let them go. Let them work and rework. Let them animate a dinosaur. No, a toaster. No, a hamster in a jetpack. Fun! Let them put golden wings on a dog. Good boy. Let them color correct anywhere and everywhere. Let them make. Powered by Intel Core Ultra processors, Lenovo gives creatives everything they need. Lenovo.com. Let creatives create.
Lenovo.
This episode is brought to you by Intuit QuickBooks Bill Pay. Growth is the goal, but the paperwork is a trap. If your accounts payable feels like a second job, you're doing it wrong. Enter QuickBooks Bill Pay. Reduce manual data entry, automate your approvals, and track 1099s in one place. No more chasing signatures. No more spreadsheet headaches. Just control over your cash flow and a back office that actually scales. Automate your accounts payable today at quickbooks.com/billpay. Terms apply. Money movement services are provided by Intuit Payments, Inc., licensed as a money transmitter by the New York State Department of Financial Services.
Finding a hoodie that lasts through the season can be tough. The American Giant Classic Full Zip hoodie is made to last a lifetime, so you can count on it year after year. The iconic Classic Full Zip hoodie is the jacket that started it all for American Giant. Custom heavyweight fleece and side panels for mobility make it the best hoodie ever. Every American Giant piece is made in America and designed to last. No exceptions. The result is durable clothing, like the premium Slub Crew Tee, No BS high-rise pant, and slim roughneck pant that become part of your life. Snag the hoodie that will bring you comfort for life. The American Giant Classic Full Zip. Save 20% off your first order at american-giant.com when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout.
I think that's the wrong reason to look at road shoes. There are some events that I've done where you're on the road a lot. And I've actually, you'll see people, there's a race called the Chuckanut 50K in Washington State where it's on trail, but it's quite runnable. And a lot of road runners will come out and do it, and they'll do it in road shoes.
Okay.
But that's about as far as you'll see road shoes typically on the trail. It's mostly about the traction. And I have trail running shoes that are probably lighter than your road shoes, like really lightweight S-Lab Solomon shoes. You can get lightweight trail shoes. The lugs themselves aren't that heavy. So you're probably making an unfair comparison. You're comparing apples to oranges here, looking at a heavier trail shoe versus a lighter weight road shoe. You can get a lighter weight trail shoe if you're concerned about weight, because a lot of what the weight is it's midsole cushioning and it's structure of the shoe itself. So it's less about tread. I mean, if you want to go lightweight, great, get a lightweight pair of trail shoes. The problem is now, can your feet handle it? And you need to kind of train with those as well. So I personally wear very lightweight shoes. The ones I typically wear, the Salomon S-Lab soft Pulsar soft grounds, are like 200 grams, which I don't know what that is in ounces, but it's one of the lighter shoes in the market, probably lighter than most road shoes, but most people's feet can't handle that. So I typically push the miles on these kind of things. I'll wear them for 50 to 100 miles where they're maybe designed for 30 miles. So I don't think it's really, for me, it's you wear road shoes on the road because it's like having summer tires on your car, and you wear trail shoes on the trail. It's like having winter tires in the winter. And there's a whole range of weights within that.
Yeah, it's not as much the apples and oranges, I think, because I'm limited with the shoe options that I have. I've had some foot issues over the years, like pretty much every foot issue, really, that's possible. And so these are the ones that are just able, like I'm able to, like they fit me and they're usable. So like the Solomon shoes, honestly, I haven't tried on a pair in years. Back in the day, they were like big time adventure racing shoes, like the XA Pros or something. But they were known to be like narrow in the foot box, and so that just didn't work for me.
They're still quite narrow. Yeah, Solomon's known to be quite narrow. And it starts with fit. I certainly would never recommend a brand over any other. As I'm not suggesting people should necessarily run in Solomons. They work really well for me, and they really fit my feet because I have narrow feet. But I would actually never look at that. When I fast pack, I do longer days, especially 50 miles like that. I tend to wear heavier shoes that I know are going to last, because there's nothing worse than a shoe falling apart on you.
I know I compared them by weight, but like I'm using both of these shoes in training. It's not like I'm shopping. I'm like, this is this weight, so I should buy this. Like these are shoes that just work for me. And so I'm just comparing my trail running shoes versus my road running shoes. And I typically train with the road running shoes on. Even like the trails on today is a very rocky, aggressive trail, but I've just been doing that for years. And so as a result, it ends up, I don't typically take falls. It just ends up tearing up the shoe a little bit more.
Exactly. You won't get as much, life out of the shoe. They're also typically not made. The uppers are, there's the outsole, but there's the upper as well. On road shoes, they're not made for all the, the lateral movements where you're kind of pushing up against the shoe and you're bound to, your toe is going to push through that. Most trail shoes, like the ones I use anyway, have like a ripstop upper. They're made for branches and rocks and scree, for example. If I was to wear road shoes in some of the environments we run in, they wouldn't last a day, because of some of that terrain.
I think you said all my ideas, like you started off being nice about it, but all of my ideas are stupid light, basically.
Well, they got progressively worse as you went, for sure.
Worse. Yeah. I did just ask about the first aid kit. I didn't really present an idea. I just was like, I'm going to have a lightweight one, but I don't know. We haven't landed on that.
No, first aid's okay, especially since you guys do have, I think a blister kit. You want to have some blister stuff. That's the kind of thing that can ruin your day. But no, don't skimp. Water filter's debatable. Don't skimp on the something as light as a blanket. And I wear trail shoes on the trail.
All right.
I think.
Well, Derek and I will talk this over. We're going to have a reaction, and so we'll talk about what advice I'm going to take and what I'm going to reject. But obviously, you're coming from a place of wisdom, so I really appreciate your thoughts on that. As far as your upcoming adventures, like what can we look forward to? What documentaries you have coming out? Trips you've got? What's going on your YouTube channel? What you got?
Yeah, well, I mean, I finally just published a film that I from an adventure in December. I was in the Azores Islands off the coast of Portugal. So I have one more from last year. I'm still catching up.
What did you call it? Is it the Azores?
So it looks like it's spelled Azores. Technically, it's pronounced Azores, which in Portuguese you would say Azorish. They say ish for their S's. You and I talked before we rolled about the importance of proper pronunciation when it comes to YouTube. Otherwise, people hammer you in the comments, and so that was something I worked really hard on. It's the Azorish Islands.
Azorish. Okay, got it.
So that's that I just published, but I have one more from last year, the Grand Teton Loop that we ran. It was a 60-kilometer loop around the Grand Teton National Park. That film's going to be coming out soon. We were in Patagonia here in the spring, so I mentioned we fast packed the O circuit. Incredible. I mean, there's a reason it's one of the most popular routes in the world. So we'll have probably a 90-minute documentary from that coming. And then I'll finally be caught up from this season. Well, actually, I have one coming from the Grand Canyon as well. We were just there 2 weeks ago. And then
you're all over the place.
I'm over. Oh yeah. And then I'm leaving in a week here. But I'll probably be over there by the time this is released. I'm going to England for the month of June. I'm going to train for and recce the entire month of June, training for what's called the Bob Graham Round. And it's, so it's about 60 some odd miles, 106 kilometers. There's 42 peaks, 8,800 meters of elevation gain.
Man, that's crazy.
They're not huge mountains, they're fells, but 42 summits, and you have to do it in less than 24 hours. So it's a self-timed challenge. And it's a big deal to do it. Bob Graham was 42 when he did it. He wanted to see if he could run his number, his age in peaks. And then people have been doing it ever since for 80 years.
And you're 42.
I'm turning 42 that weekend. So that'll be the way I celebrate is doing this. And I'll be immersing myself in fell running culture throughout the month and doing some local fell races. That's just what they call trail running in England, fell running.
Is that okay? I thought it was like off trail.
It is. It's both. I mean, it is a certain style. So it's less about running on the trails, and it's more like they run up a mountain and they run down it and, tripping over rocks and boggy stuff on the way down. But it's that's what I'm there to learn. I'm there to see what it's all about.
I'll have your YouTube channel in the show description, both on YouTube and on all the audio apps. Please check out Jeff Pelletier's stuff. It is inspirational. I check it out. I told him every January, February, March, just to get excited for the upcoming season. He's just got great documentary filmmaking skills and good storytelling. So Jeff, thank you so much for joining the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks again to Jeff for joining the show. And remember, if you buy ultralight gear, you lose weight two ways. Your pack's lighter, and so is your wallet. Have a good week, and God bless.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F-words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, forlorn even, like your efforts are futile, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all that. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Fantastic.
So, whether you need to hire 4, 40, or 400 people, get ready to meet first-rate talent. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/zip to try ZipRecruiter for free. Don't forget, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. Finally, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip.
Hey, I'm Josh Spiegel, host of the podcast Lunatic in the Newsroom. If you enjoy journalism that drifts into mild panic, wild overthinking, and a guaranteed nervous breakdown, Lunatic in the Newsroom is for you. It's news like you've never heard before. The only newsroom with a panic button. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and gasp in horror as the show spirals completely out of control. It's not just news, it's emotionally unstable. Lunatic in the Newsroom. Listen today.